Hi, my name is Casey Giambrone. I'm Vice President of Progressive Pipeline Management. Progressive Pipeline Management core business is to rehabilitate metallic mains that are suffering from corrosion and graphitization. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to take you through the process on how we go about installing the liner, tell you how the liner is constructed, and we'll kind of walk you through the entire process. Our liner is manufactured from a company named Starline. It's a two-part liner that has a polyester fabric with a polyurethane skin on it. The liner comes off the roll already inverted inside out, and then we're going to walk you through right now on how we install the adhesive and bring that liner through the gas main. So if you want to take a look this way. So this is our adhesive. It's a two-part epoxy. Parts get combined and mixed together. We attach our liner to the bottom of that funnel right there, and we take the epoxy and we pour through the top. The adhesive will then accumulate inside the liner, create a pocket, and then we bring that liner through this roller right here. This roller is set to have a specific gap depending on what the diameter of the liner is. As we bring it through, those rollers separate that liner to make sure that there is a consistent quantity of adhesive throughout the entire liner. As the liner comes through, it will have the adhesive on the inside of the liner. The liner will then go through and get put inside this drum. The drum then stores the liner, and at that point, we then move that drum over and connect it to the main that is to be lined. So at this point here, we can take you through the whole process of how we bring the liner into the drum and how we bring it through the rollers.
Okay, so after the adhesive is poured through the wet out table, we seal the end. We seal the ends for the tail, so there's no leaking adhesive or any escape air out the tail end of the liner. So we make sure that's sealed. And when we come through our roller gaps of the wet out table, we attach a retention belt. That helps us control the speed as it's going through the line. So we attach it to our retention belt. It then pulls through our transport hose. Normally we have a 20-foot hose connected to this because we go in pits. So we connect the transport hose to our inversion unit. And then that liner could be 1,000 feet long. We measure it with a walking wheel. So once we get our end number, we cut it, we pull it through, and then all the magic happens. Once we have the amount of liner we need, we then attach it to this cone. This is where all the magic happens. This is our inversion cone. This then goes to the front of the inversion unit with the liner attached, and that's what allows it to invert. So we have a collar on the front of our pipe. We then attach the inversion unit to the collar, and then we air up, we create a bubble, and we watch the liner go through to the catch end. Once the liner's in the catch, we squeeze off to keep all the air neutralized inside the pipe. Everything from the drum back then gets depressurized, and we install a blind flange. And then that's pretty much it. Got our channel locks, take some in. Let's put this on the cone. A little bit. I hold that, Ken. All right, we then put this on here. Get this in. We then install the liner onto our inversion cone. Making sure everything is even. Where's this at? We need one more. Now, once this is installed, once the liner starts to come out, it'll invert itself through this cone. So the outside of the liner will now become the inside of the pipe. Keep going. Take it in. All right, hold that. All right, hold that. Take it out some. The other way. Reel out. All right, then install the nuts on. And this locks it in. We put the nuts to lock it in and to create a seal here, gasket tight. You want to try this one? So we then lock this in. These are 24s. Just to lock this on. Check it just to see. Yep, nice and tight. Nice. Nice. All right. We'll then transfer the inversion unit to the pipe and connect it to our collar. All right, so let's grab that. You got this? Yeah. All right.
Like, flip it again. And then put it back on the vest.
So the whole top piece fell off, the whole clip. All right. So we then transfer this, our inversion unit and the drum, attach it to our collar. Okay, and now normally before we line, we pre-inspect the pipe with a CCTV camera. We build the camera up depending on the size of the pipe, from 6-inch all the way up to 32-inch, 42-inch pipe. This here is our blast truck. What we do is we sandblast the pipe with ebony grit, and this is our sandblast unit. Depending on the size of the pipe, we either hollow blast it or we'll have like a spin blaster. We have a big spin blaster that shoots, it spins around, and we just clean 500-600 feet of pipe at a time. This is one of our 12-inch units. We pull this in, we pull it through, and we'll just clean and we'll butter up the pipe, gives it a nickel finish. So that way we get good adhesion to the pipe once we introduce our liner and the adhesive. Okay, and so while we're cleaning the grit, we're shooting grit in. We usually have a vac truck, either a guzzler or a dust collector or some type of suction system set up so that we could capture all the PCBs and contaminants out of the pipe and the grit as well. And then we drum it up, we label it with hazmat stickers, and the utility company takes care of that portion of getting rid of the grit and everything. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna air up, we're gonna show you how we actually line the pipe. All right, so let's air this up. And this is where the magic happens. Now I'm inverting. And our retention belt helps us control the speed. We could actually stop it. We could speed it up a little bit. The smaller the pipe, the higher the air pressure. For the demo, I just got it set at 14 pounds it's inverting right now, but we can invert as high as 20 pounds on a 6-inch pipe, 25 pounds. And once we hit the catch, we wait for the bubble to get good seal so we can make sure there's no air leak and everything. We leak test it, we do a soap test to make sure it's completely airtight. Okay, so we're in the catch. And that's pretty much it right there. So from this point, to keep everything locked in, we would then introduce our squeeze off. This is equivalent to tying the knot in a balloon to keep everything airtight. So we would then, this opens up. Here, this wraps around this part, we squeeze off, we then squeeze this down until it's gasket tight and there's no air able to escape from our inversion unit. So from that point on, after we squeeze off, we then cut the retention belt, we tie a knot so nothing can go any further than what we have it set at. And then we install our blind flange to the end of our inversion unit, gasket tight. This then gets disconnected from the drum. This would be a transport hose 20 foot long. We disconnect it, install our blind flange, and that's how the pipe cures. Now, to regulate the pipe, to make sure it doesn't lose any pressure other than what we lined it at, we then introduce nitrogen into the line through a regulator, through our pressure box, like so. We then introduce nitrogen through the regulator, which helps us maintain that pipe at a certain PSI. Everything that goes into the line is regulated so we don't overfeed or anything like that. And then that's pretty much it. Depending on how hot it is and the ambient temperature, that's the length of time that it takes the pipe to cure. So we use 20,000 adhesive, that is over there. Usually like during in the summertime, it takes 48 hours, 2 days. In the wintertime, it could take a little bit longer depending on how cold it is out. But that's pretty much the lining process right there.